Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, possibly everybody. How is it going? Welcome back to the V1 Simulations channel. We have a pretty sweet stream here out for you in front of you here. A couple shout outs to you guys. Carl Childers in the house. How's it going? IMDimitri. Good to see you. Dougal in the house. Got my mods on board already this afternoon. Good to see you here. Firefighter McCall NASA 6. Frank C, fellow Texan, shout out. How's it going, my friend? Brian Harris. Guys, this is going to be a fun one. So, you guys know that I love the 727, and I wanted to do the 727 flight yesterday, but it just wasn't working. So, FlyJSim finally came out with a fix for it, and we are good to go. However, I want you guys to keep in mind that I haven't flown the 727 probably since the last time I flew it on stream, which was quite a while ago. So I'm not really going to be going down the tutorial version of this flight. I mean, I'm going to try to do the best I can. I'm going to show you guys how I fly it, but this is by no means how the airplane was operated by real procedure. I'm just going to use the checklists that are given to us here in the wonderful FlyJSim little checklist item right here. You see it's got all the checklists. So I follow that. It seems to get the job done. So let's hop aboard, guys, and get this thing going. We're in the US Airways shuttle today. So this airplane, 918 Tango Sierra, used to actually be part of Trump's shuttle, and then US Airways took it over, and then they started running shuttle flights up and down the East Coast. Philly, Boston, DC, Boston, or DC, Philly, up and down the East Coast, hence the name shuttle. So we're going to go ahead and replicate that here today. However, we are in a completely cold and dark 727. So I'm going to take you guys from start to finish here. We're going to be cold and dark. We're going to be using a VOR nav. We're going old school here. So I have no FMS or no FMC. The FMC that comes with the airplane is the default one anyway. And if you're flying this beautiful airplane, you really shouldn't be flying it with the default FMC. It hurts my heart. So the SIVA is a fantastic little add-on. I think it's only a couple bucks when you purchase it, and you can navigate with an old school inertial reference system, but we're not using that today. This is a shorter flight. We're going to be using Victor Airways. We're going to be using our charts, our maps, and we're going to be tuning VORs and things like that. So it should be a fun one. Let's go ahead and get this thing fired up here. What up, IFR Sim? How's it going? Good to see you here. All right, guys. So I'm going to do my best to stay with you in the chat as well as get the airplane going here on the ground. So you can see a beautiful American Eagle there, 175. This tail number is backwards, but I believe that's 457 Yankee X-ray. So I have that bird in my logbook, most likely. It's an old Republic Airways airplane. So first thing we got to do is we're going to get established electrical power to the airplane. What I'm going to do first is get ground power connected, and then we'll fire up the APU and get this thing rocking and rolling. All right, so we've got the ground power. You can hear the card out there. I mean, this airplane is just so well done. So we're going to come over here to the engineers panel, and we need to, let's go ahead and turn the battery switch on, and we're going to connect external power. You can see when this light's illuminated here, we got external power, so we're going to go ahead and put it to the on position. Listen to everything spool up here. The sounds on this airplane are fantastic. I mean, it's absolutely awesome. I'm going to switch the essential power over to external power. So now we have external power set there. While we're sitting on external power, we can turn the galley power on. But if we're going to start, we want to make sure we shut that off. So we've got that on. Let's go ahead and get some lights set up here. I've got everything is on bright. Turn the floodlights on here. We don't need that one. Those are off. What's this one? We'll use it a little bit here. So one thing I love about this 727 cockpit is the lighting. So it's freaking sweet, man. You can really feel at home and kind of cozy. I mean, just look at this cockpit already. J20, good morning. Nice stream for you. Nice time for a stream for you. That's excellent, man. This is a little bit later stream. I apologize, guys, if I seem a little rattled. It's just been one of those days with my daughter. I have a pretty mild-tempered baby, I would say, but the days that are rough are extremely rough, and we've just had a very rough day today. So you may hear her cry in the background. Hopefully not, but going to sit back, relax. We're going to take our time with this flight here. So now that we got external power on the aircraft, I'm going to fire up the APU. So the APU panel, unlike the 737 on the overhead, it's actually on this back side here. So we're going to go on and then start for a couple of seconds. and we should hear it start to spool up. There's our exhaust temp, just like a 737. Could you put this livery in the Discord Swarm 3513? Yeah, you know, I will. I think, however, Swarm, that this is a default livery. I don't know that I downloaded anything extra, but I sure will take a look at the end of the stream if I haven't done it already. So I will definitely try to get that in there for you. There's no special link if you want to Google search it. It's probably just on the X-Plane website itself, you know. But I do love this livery. It's fantastic. The mapping and everything, it's just great. So we got the APU firing up. Now, watch your eyes for a second. I got to try to figure out where my views are here in the cockpit. Excuse me. All right, so that's my overhead view. There's so many views for this cockpit. As you can tell, it's such a large pit. Okay, of course, the view that I wanted was the last one I tried. So we got our APU on. So now that the APU is on, we have to close the breaker, close the electrical current, right? So we want to, oops, wrong one. There we go. So now we've closed the electrical circuit. We've got electrical power from the APU, and we can double check that here when we run this over to APU. So generator 1, there's no power, right? As soon as I go to APU, now we have power. So let's go ahead and disconnect the ground power now so we can get rid of that racket that's outside. Now, doing a power transfer and stuff, you want to be very careful if you're using the SIVA INS, because when you start up the airplane, you have to get the airplane in the alignment phase, and if you do some power transfers, you could potentially interrupt the alignment phase of your INS. So either start the APU or stay on ground power until you're fully aligned, and make sure you do a proper power transfer. You can see the external power here is automatically tripped off. Galley power is still on. Everything looks good. Let's go over here. We've got our PSI, engine 1 bleed, engine 2 and APU bleed. These are open, engine 3 bleed, and I know I want to, cooling doors need to be open, which they are, full open. Excellent. All right, so that looks good. Let's come to the overhead panel up here. I'm just going to run through some quick tests. So this airplane will actually burn bulbs on you. So you press on these bulbs to test them. You want to make sure that they are working, or you can run the test. You power on test, overheat test. Make sure your bulbs are illuminating, because you could potentially have a burnt out bulb and you won't even know it. So that's a really cool thing I like about this airplane as well. Fire warning test. We're going to skip that. Actually, that's for later. But all our bulbs here work. Let's come across the panel here. We'll turn the floodlight panel on. Oh, yeah, I think I missed it. So I'll turn it off. Watch the animation here with this light. I love it. Flickering of the light. Gosh, you gotta love that, right? Back over here. Where is my overhead? Okay, so I gotta remember where that button is. We'll go ahead and get the no smoking sign on. We'll get the fasten seatbelt sign on. PA buttons are all operating here. Down to the external lights. Navigation light is on. We'll turn the logo light on. We'll turn on the first officer's dome light as well. And we need to make sure these work as well. Yes, they do. Excellent. All right, so now that we got some light in the airplane, let's go ahead and do a quick run through the checklist here. Before start, battery on, APU ground power is on, stall warning check, emergency exit lights are armed, which they are up here, so they're armed now. Passenger signs are on, window heat, we'll turn those on prior to departure. Radar, radio, we're going to set that, parking brake, start the APU, so we've pretty much done all that, and then that leads us to the engine start. So, now that we've got our nav lights on, everything is looking good, we'll go ahead and start programming the radios. Dimitri says, I know the feeling, man. I have 4 boys in the house. I hear you, dude. Yeah, you definitely have a full house, man. You know exactly what I'm talking about. JCP123, how's it going? I friend Ahmed. Parenting is the toughest job in the world. I hear you, man. Welcome aboard. What's the airport scenery? This is a Freeware Philadelphia scenery. I can't think of the name. Is it a Mr. X? I think it might be a Mr. X scenery, but... Alright, let's talk about our route of flight today. So, we are over here. We're going to be departing... I'm going to do IFR high en route, clear these up a little bit. We're going to be departing Philly, and we're going to go out to the Robbinsville VOR, which is right here. Then we're going to join one of these airways and track outbound to JFK, and then we're going to pick up the arrival into Boston. So to help us with that, I've already got the charts loaded up right here. This is the Philadelphia to departure. This is a radar vector departure procedure. So essentially, we're going to take off 27 left. We're going to make a left turn out. We're going to vector ourselves to Robbinsville VOR, which is 113.8. So we're going to put that in the nav 1, 113.8. And then with the blue light, that signifies that it is active. If I switch it over, I'm now on the second frequency on the nav 1 radio. So this is one nav radio. This is your second nav radio. And you have two frequencies in between. We have two frequencies for each nav radio. So 13.8, that's going to be our first one to Robbinsville. After that, the arrival into Boston, the Norwich 7, we're going to pick it up at John F. Kennedy VOR, JFK, New York. JFK frequency is 115.9. So I'm going to put that in the standby, but I'm also going to put it in the nav 2. And I'll tell you why I'm putting it in the nav 2 active. Because when I have the nav 2 active and I look at my flight display here, this is going to show me my current DME. My second DME is going to be displayed right here. So once I start seeing numbers over here, I know that I'm already receiving my second VOR. So with this airplane, and any time that you are doing VOR to VOR navigation, you want to make sure that you are several steps ahead of the airplane before you get there. So I always want to have my secondary radio already tuned before I leave the ground. That way I know when I get there, when I get airborne, I start receiving the signal. I know, hey, I've got a good signal. We're good to go. Now, on the standby for nav 2, I'm going to go even further. After Kennedy, we're going to continue inbound here on this arrival, which is going to be the 060 radial, all the way out until intercepting the Providence VOR radial 263. So you could put in Norwich, but I'm looking at the distance here, it's 39, 7 and 20, so what is that, 59 and 766 miles. So I should be able to pick up the Providence VOR from this intersection, so I'm not going to worry about Norwich. I'm going to put the Providence 15.6 in the nav 2 standby. So now I have 3 VORs set for my route of flight. I shouldn't have to tune any new VOR frequency until I'm tracking Providence inbound. After Providence inbound, we're going to fly outbound directly to the Boston VOR. Now, this technically isn't a full-blown airway here. This just means it's an identifier to identify this waypoint of CRAN, radial 208 from Boston. But what we're going to do, depending on how the weather is there in Boston, we're either going to do one of two things. We're either going to fly the lighthouse visual, which is this right here. So we're just going to kind of vector ourselves in the lighthouse visual, or we're going to do the ILS to 33 left, which is right here, if we need to. So if we need to do the ILS, we'll fly to Boston VOR, we'll do a full procedure, we'll track outbound, procedure turn, and head back inbound. And I'll explain all that once we get en route. But this airplane, you definitely want to make sure you are set up on the ground as far ahead as you can go in the flight before you even take off. Hey V1, where did you get the animated jetway? So this is part of the, I think this is a SAM plugin, right? I believe this is what that's called, the SAM plugin, and it just came with the airport. I believe this is I feel bad. I think this is a Mr. X Philadelphia. Does he have a Philadelphia? It is a freeware airport, and yeah, it's one of my favorites. I mean, it's really well done. It's got volumetric grass and everything, so. All right, so now that we know that we have that set, we're going to initial altitude. We're going to clear ourselves up to flight level 200, altitude selected. And let's go ahead and finish boarding the aircraft, make sure everything is done here. So I've already preloaded the airplane on these shuttle flights. Typically, your first class is going to be full. You're going to have a spread through economy, and you're going to have a relatively light cargo load because most of the people on these shuttle routes on up and down the East Coast are going to be business travelers, so they're not really going to have a lot of cargo. They're just going to have their bags that they're carrying with them. Max Rank says, I have a 16-year-old daughter. Just wait, V1. I love her dearly, but oh boy, is she work. Man, I know. I'm not trying to accelerate the clock at all. She's my daughter just hit 6 months, so oh boy. I'm sorry, so it's ex-captains. Thank you, Dimitri, for correcting me there. I think Dimitri's got the link. Thank you so much, man. All right. Ripper says, oh man, the FlyJSim 727 is a plane that makes me go, I only paid X for the 727, so paying Y for this plane seems like I'm not getting a great value. I hear you, man. All right. Max Rank says, point of interest, Norwich is pronounced Norridge. It's another English twist with the language. As an Englishman, I apologize for creating words that make no sense. Norridge. Okay. Excellent. Philly Metar 0706, 10 miles, overcast, 4100, altimeter 3006. So we're going to go ahead and set that right now. Thank you for throwing that in there. Firefighter, make sure I say that. Fighter, Med, Mr. Call. I'm just going to call you Firefighter Ed. Or Firefighter. 30-6. We'll throw that in the box here. 30-6 once. And we'll set the FO's altimeter 30-6. Now the only thing that is a little bit sad with this airplane, and I know why they did it, we'll set the standby altimeter down here at 30-6 as well, is there is no internal cabin view. So I've got my wing views bound here, but there is no cabin, which is the only thing. I mean, the 737-200 has it, and I'll tell you this: when I had a different PC that was a much lower end PC, I really appreciated the no cabin feature of the 727 because it allowed my frames to run extremely smooth. Now, if you're in that position where you have an upgraded PC, then sometimes I miss the cabin. So I definitely miss the cabin view, but we'll do our best. All right, we're going to go ahead and turn the beacon on, galley power off, packs off. So we got to go ahead and refresh my memory on that flight engineer panel. But before we do that, let's pre-plan our pushback. So here in Philadelphia, we're going to push here, and then we're going to tow forward to the aircraft release line. Can I do 3? Ooh, I can do 3. There we go. How's that? It's going to be a long pushback.
Call me through the menu when you are ready.
All right, so we've got our pushback set. We need to come over here to the engineers panel. We're going to go ahead and get our fuel pumps on. We have enough fuel to get to Boston and actually come back if we need to. So that should be good. We want to make sure we test our transfer valves. Lights in, out, those are good. Fuel heat, we don't need that. Fuel temp is 0 right now. That looks good. And we'll turn on our hydraulics. Pressurize, that looks good. Now I believe if we turn on B and then the interconnect, there we go. So this is kind of like a PTU. So when you open the interconnect, I'm using hydraulic system B to pressurize hydraulic system A via this interconnect switch here. It's nice to see the modeling on FlyJSim with that. So that looks good. We're going to go ahead and close the tail skid. Left shift F1 closes this door here. A couple of you guys asked me, how do you open the air stair in the back? Left shift F1. That's the only door that you can open on the FlyJ727 aircraft. Oh, Issa says you can do infant pushback points. All right. Dimitri said, we're all the ZIBO diehards to see a real pilot flying a real Boeing the pilot's way. Oh, man, I hope so. Ephraim, yep, out of here, man. Have a good one. Thanks for stopping by the stream. All right, so let's just double check here. We're going to talk about the autopilot when we get out there. We've got our nav 1 is set, nav 2 is set. That looks good. We're going to depart off heading of runway 27. So I'm just going to spin my HSI around to 27. Put my heading at 27, and we'll deal with that when we get out there towards the runway. And back to the overhead here. Stall warning, flight recorder test, that looks good. Alright, let's go ahead and get our anti-collision or our beacon light on. Excuse me, beacon is on, probe heat's on. We don't need that. Window heat, we're going to go ahead and turn those on. Just like you do in your standard 737. So that looks good. We don't need any wing heats right now, we'll keep those off. Probe heats are on. And back to the upper overhead. We'll go ahead and turn off the galley power. I'm going to go ahead and turn... Oh, you know what? I had the packs off the whole time. The passengers are probably freezing. Oh, well, we'll worry about that later. We're going to keep packs off for engine start. Let's run through our checklist here. All right, beacon is on. Galley power is off. Packs are off. Bleed pressure, 30 psi. We've got that. Engine bleed valves open. They are open. To start engines, we know how to do that. So let's start our pushback and get out of here, guys.
Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
Let's zoom on up to the front of the truck here. Ripper says, funny enough, they just modeled the windows. It'd be close enough with the cabin being missing as part of what makes this plane go as low as $45 on sale, and I don't want to give that up. Yeah, I hear you, man. It is a shame that the cabin is not there, because it would be fun to just, you know, walk through the cabin and look at the detail. The 737-200 cabin is fantastic. So, but I mean, hey, it's a 727. There's a lot of systems modeled in depth that a lot of people, I think, miss, and you don't realize how much is actually modeled under the hood of the airplane.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect.
Jeremy Harris says, according to Jeff Favignano, who used to work with the 7.2s as a ramp agent, 7.2 is notorious for APU failures. Interesting, man. That's pretty interesting. I would do a power back right now, but I don't think we can do it here in Philly. So we did that on the very first 727 stream I did with the power back. But we don't have the space here in Philly to do the power back. That's really cool that Favignano used to work with the 7.2. That's awesome. I did not know that. Ripper 253 says, I flew the hell out of this thing before I got the TOLA, so I feel like I got better appreciation for the Airbus and all it does. Absolutely, man. All right, brakes released. Clear to push. Spot 9er. All right, we'll start the engine process here as we clear the gate. You're absolutely right, Ripper. I mean, seeing, you know, being in the Airbus and flying the Airbus around, and then I get in the sim here and I fly, you know, these older airplanes, the 732, the 727, heck, even the MD-80 when it used to work. I can't get it to work, guys. I apologize. I wish I could fly it for you on stream. I just can't get it to work properly. But it really does make you appreciate modern aviation. And you think about it, the Airbus isn't even that modern. I mean, it was, you know, that's 80s tech, like late 70s, early 80s technology on the Airbus, but it really makes you appreciate modern technology in aviation. So 90-some watching, 27 likes. Come on. Yeah, Dimitri, I hear you, man. Hit the like button, guys. Help me out. Doesn't cost you much. Doesn't cost you anything. Frank, so drinking Woodford Reserve tonight? Yes, sir, Frank C. It's been one of those days, man. I'm telling you. I talked about it earlier. It's just I just had to bust one out here. A little Woodford and a little unsweet tea. Geo1979 is new to the channel. I purchased the JAR 320 right after engine start and doing before tax checks. The right engine goes to max power and catch on fire. Ooh. You know, I don't know. Make sure that your bindings are correct. So make sure that your throttles are at idle. Look at the beautiful shine on that. And, you know, the only thing I can think of is maybe it's hot starting. I don't know if I'm not familiar with the JAR 320. I don't know if it has failures. The engine should auto shut down on a hot start or overtemp, though, in the real airplane. So, unfortunately, without a little bit more information, Geode, I don't know what would be causing your second engine to go to full power and catch fire, other than it being maybe some throttle binding. Maybe you accidentally have a throttle mismatch somewhere and it's at full power. Issa says, I'm especially impressed with the lights flickering. Absolutely. And the way the nav frequencies changed. Yeah, I'm telling you, the lighting, the interior lighting, I've got this flight set up so we're going to kind of be sunset as we get into Boston. I may adjust the time accordingly. But the night lighting is so cool in this airplane. Gasper fan on or off during engine startup? I don't know. That's a good question. Let's take a look. Let's hop in. We should probably start the engine here. I keep hitting, I don't know why that button is that one. It should be this one here, so I apologize. Alright, so auto pack is closed, everything is closed. Gas per fan is off. I'm going to keep it off for engine start. I don't know if that's 100% accurate or not. Alright, so we've got 30 PSI, brakes are set, we're going to go ahead and start them up. So we need to go to the overhead here if I can find my switch. Oh my gosh, this is driving me nuts. Do I not have an overhead bound? I guess I don't have an overhead bound. Okay. Alright, we're going to start these engines right to left. We're going to ground engine 3, then 2, and then 1. So we're going to uncover the start switches. Engine 3 to ground. Our PSI drops. We're watching our N2 spooling up now. So it's a 3-part process. Ground the engine, verify the bleed pressure is dropping, come back over here, verify your N2 is on the rise, followed by N1. I think we want to take it almost to max motoring. Light off. I heard the start switch auto trip off. We're waiting for our low oil pressure light to extinguish. That will signify that we are good to start the second engine. There we go. Low oil pressure light has been extinguished. We'll go up here, up top. We'll verify that our bleed pressure has recovered. It has, 30 plus PSI. I'm going to go ahead and close that one. And we're going to ground engine 2. There's our PSI dropping. There's the N1, N2 on the rise. N1s are up here, barely turning. You can see the N2 is spooling up nicely. I don't know if it's, I think it's 20% in this engine, so let's go ahead and crank it off on. Wait for the light off. Looks like my spoilers are armed somehow there. What's going on with my spoiler lever? Oh, you know what? There we go. That was weird. Alright, our oil light is out. We'll go ahead and ground engine 1. PSI is on the fall. You can see why you need 3 people. You'd have a guy back here. He's looking at the start valves. Here's a start valve open. There's a lot going on. This airplane would be fantastic with multi-crew. I cannot wait. There's 20%. Light it off. We'll wait for that low oil light to extinguish. Spago Z says you believe it's Gasper on after. Alright, we'll make sure we turn it on here after. Yeah, I just had it off for engine start. Be safe. I think if it was a critical item, it would be in the checklist. So I'm not sure how much it would affect it either way. Alright, let's go ahead and engine start switches are closed and guarded now. That looks good. Auto brakes are going to go RTO. What we need to do is come off of we're still on our generator APU power. Okay, I'm going to stop hitting that button because that's not the right button. That's the button we want. We're going to go ahead and close the bus ties. We can go ahead and turn galley power back on. I'm going to go ahead and put essential power onto generator 1. Synchronize this is synchrophasers and things like that. I mean, this gets really in depth, guys. I'm not going to go that in depth with you. So we got our bleeds on, our Gasper fan is on. We want to make sure I never did set my altitude. We're not going very high. We're only going up to 20,000 feet. Our landing altitude is, what is Boston? It's pretty much sea level. I think it's around 30 feet. And we can put that into flight mode. Almost looks like I submarined the cabin already. We'll put that in ground for now. We'll change it to flight mode. Cabin altitude 6,000. Flight altitude, flight level 200. And we'll go ahead and turn off the APU. So we'll go ahead and trip the breaker. And off. Hear the APU spooling down. Hydraulics, come on. Alright, that looks good. We are pretty much lights out except for the tail skid over there. We'll go ahead and turn that panel light off. Duct pressure overheat, we're going to reset you. Now, I remember I had this issue before. What's going on with you? I should be able to reset the duct overheat button. Our cabin, let's take a look at our cabin now. Our forward cabin is 20C. It's a little bit chilly in there, that's right. We had the APU off, so we're going to go ahead and warm it up just a little bit. That should be to normal. Duct pressure overheat. There's the reset button. Okay, there's the reset button. Found it. Duct pressure overheat has been reset. Let's go ahead and look at our checklist here. Okay, so it was 20%. We could have just put the fuel in at 20. Before takeoff, anti-ice. We'll run that when we get to the runway. We're going to do a flaps. What is it? It's flaps 5 takeoff. So we'll go to our references speed here. Takeoff, we're going to do we'll do flaps 15 takeoff. I'm going to press set bugs. I'm going to click here to auto set the trim, and we'll extend flaps 15. I love that sound right there. Issa, can't stand the slow Wi-Fi, so you might as well go to sleep. I'm sorry, man. You have a good night. Thanks for stopping by the stream. Alright, so our flaps are set. Verify it is 15. Yes, flaps 15 set. We've got our V-speed set. 27, 27, 29. 37 minutes of dump time on board. Stab trim 5.6, 5.1. Alright, so we got all our information there. Our EPER we want to set to be 2.15, which I think they automatically set, don't they? Yeah, our EPER's already set 2.15. So, auto brakes RTO. Let me adjust these panel lights here. I'm going to turn the floodlight off. And we'll turn down the centers. A little bit too bright. There we go. That looks good to me. Alright, let's get out of here, guys. This is our weather radar. We'll leave that off for now. Brakes released. Taxi light is on. Let's get out of here. Oh, listen to those JT8Ds. Ripper says, I've been hesitant to take the 727 onto VATSIM. I'm kind of worried about making ATC deal with less precise plane, but FedEx is still flying his right. Don't they? Any idea how it works? I don't think FedEx is flying them anymore. I think they're all retired now. But they did have regular, I think they had FMCs in there. I think they had a much more modern, they had to have. But, I mean, you can still take it up on VATSIM. I used to fly it on Pilot Edge. You know, you can fly it with the default FMC just to get comfortable with it. Or, you know, you just file that you're a slant alpha. You know, you don't have any GPS or anything. And, you know, oh my gosh, this sound. Whew. So, if you just let them... I missed my turn off there. It's okay. We'll go all the way around and make a right turn. You know, don't worry about it, man. If they give you a hard time, it is what it is. But have fun with it. It's so much more satisfying. I'm telling you, it is extremely satisfying to take this airplane up on a network such as VATSIM or Pilot Edge and do a flight proper. I mean, it will really make you feel good. But I would definitely practice with the default FMC first. Ripper, have I ever tried the TU-154M? No, I have not. Could you be convinced to learn it sometime? Or stream it sometime? Oh boy. I'd have to check it out first, Ripper. But I think you've been asking for me to do it quite a bit. So I will definitely take a look at it, and we'll see. Is that your favorite airplane or something? Don't forget the engine to APU bleed. Yes, I do need to shut off engine to APU bleed for takeoff and for normal operations. Perfect. We're going to do our before takeoff checks when we get to runway 27 left. Just look at this thing of beauty, man. The sounds from FlyJSim, so awesome. I like this shot right here, kind of on the top-down view. Ooh, baby. A couple of Southwest planes over there on the terminal. Gosh, could you imagine? I just can't imagine being able to fly this plane in real life. That must have been so much fun. Everyone I've talked to that's flown this bird says they absolutely loved it. Jeremy Harvey says that 1727 actually went to United, and so pilots would carve their initials onto the yoke because they knew they were flying the first one. That's awesome. That is awesome. So what I will do, unfortunately, for this stream is I'm probably going to have to activate my track IR a little bit, just because the windows are pretty narrow. But I'll try my best not to. All right, we're cleared across 27 left. We'll taxi 27 right via Echo Sierra 1. All right, as we line up for the crossing here, we'll get our external landing lights on. So we're going to taxi on and then taxi off. So this airport is not exactly modeled anymore. There's been... Well, maybe it is. Maybe it's just I'm in the wrong spot. I know Philadelphia's been undergoing some pretty hardcore construction. Maybe I took the wrong exit. Yeah, I think I... No, in real life, you can cut across right here now. Oh boy, stay where are we going? Where are we going? But it's alright. We'll taxi on 27 right. Normally, Philadelphia, they land on the inboard 27 right all the time, and they take off on 27 left. So that's why I'm going to 27 left. You can hear the brake sounds on this plane. It's awesome. Alright, we'll go ahead and clear the landing lights now as we clear 27 right. We'll make a slight left here and then get on 27 left. We'll run through all our checks. Like I said, anytime you're flying the VOR nav, we're going to triple check everything. We're going to make sure everything looks good. We'll set our courses and then we'll take off. Always make sure you are set up on the ground before getting airborne. I just can't get enough of these sounds. So pretty common procedure here in Philly. They hold short right here in the middle. That way you have, if somebody just wants to come from the left or the right. But we'll say we're next in line for takeoff, so we're going to take it all the way to the hold short line. Please answer your question above, Mosa. What'd you ask, man? How did you learn to control that much aircraft? Is it because of your experience or real life pilot? I would say a little bit of both, man. I mean, I don't have experience flying this airplane in real life, but throughout my career, I've flown a lot of different airplanes, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. It's just because I'm on the Airbus now doesn't mean I don't know how to fly anything else. I've flown a slew of other airplanes as I look for the parking brake. Oh yeah, that's right, Boeing. But over years after years of experience flying different airplanes, you kind of piece things together from different airplanes. You're like, oh, I had this system on that airplane, and I had that system on this airplane. And you're like, oh, that does this, but it just looks different. So you kind of learn. That's probably how I've managed to do it. All right, so we're holding short of the runway now. Let's go through our checklist here, and then we're going to make sure everything else is set. Anti-ice is required. Pitot heat is on. Flight instruments are set for a departure. So let's just verify that now since that's being called for. So 113.8 in the nav 1. We are in nav mode, correct? Yes, we are, not in GPS. We don't have a GPS. We want navigation. So navigation 1. And we're taking off on the Philly departure. We need to look for Robbinsville. Captain Alberto coming in with a $2 bomb. Hey, V1, what's up? Positive rate, good sound. How's it going, man? Thanks for that $2 bomb, man. Welcome to the stream. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you here. Oh, man. All right. Thank you so much, Berto. So we're going to take off Philly. We're going to turn left. I'm going to just kind of self-vector us around towards Robbinsville, which is 113.8. Now, this isn't a flyable airway by definition. But it's kind of interesting that I don't have it picked up yet. That is a low altitude VOR, so hopefully we'll pick it up here not too long after takeoff. So we're going to turn left, 113.8. Then we're going to join this puppy right here, JFK. 115.9, that's verified. 15.9 of the standby on nav 1. And then all we're worrying about there is from Providence 15.6. Boom. So that looks good. All right, navigation. I'm going to hand fly most of this stuff here for now. But I'll talk you through that autopilot as we get airborne. All right, I think everything else looks good. I'm going to just set the runway heading right now, 276. Let's do this. Brakes released. Light them up. So many lights. You can see why they developed that crash bar for later Boeings. But I love that look. I mean, the 727 with the slats out and all those lights, I mean, you can't beat that. Come on. Ooh, baby. We're believe it or not, we're actually pretty lightly loaded 727, so I imagine we're gonna just fly out of here. I should have done my flight control check as I take the runway. That's always good. All right, I'm gonna sync up that, and I'm gonna turn on my track IR, so hopefully it doesn't impact the stream too much. You guys let me know. Well, we're going to go straight up to 20,000 feet. And let's finish the checklist real quick. Flight instrument, speed brake is down, stab trim set, flap set, galley power is on, electrical. No lights. Fuel heat is off, hydraulic pressure and quantity. Normal. APU is off, pressure set for cruise altitude is, flight ground switch to flight. Which they are, they're up top. Number 2, bleed closed. EPR and airspeed bugs are set. Clear for takeoff. Start switch is guarded. Transponder on altitude. That's one thing I did forget to do. And the transponder on this thing is on the overhead, right? So let me take a look here. There's one thing I did forget. On altitude, TARA. Landing lights on. Auto pack trim. Norm cutout. I never understood what that meant. So norm and then cutout? Or are you supposed to leave it in cutout? Or leave it in normal? I don't know. I'm going to leave it in normal. And then that leads us to the up takeoff. All right, let's get out of here. I'm going to spool them up 50%. You want to be real easy on these hinges. Let them stabilize. And let's go. .15 on the EPers. We don't want to overdo it though, because they will cook. They will catch fire. 2.15, close enough. Thrust is set. Oh man, I gotta stay on the runway for this airplane though. Maybe a quick flyby view. Oh. That might be the coolest thing I've ever done in X-Plane right there, that flyby shot. Or past rotation by a mile. Positive rate, gear up. Let's get her up. Ooh, baby. There's 1,000 feet acceleration altitude. I'm going to go ahead and reduce thrust now to about 1.95. That always seems to be a very safe EPR. I don't know exactly what they would use. And I know I need to come left about 090. We're still not picking up Robbinsville VOR, which is a little bit interesting to me. We can go flaps 5, get rid of some of that drag. Might need a little bit more power. Let's bump it up to 2.0. How's our temp? So it's 92% pretty much is where you want to be. There we go. Once we get rid of flaps 15, it should really starts to clean up nicely. Look at that, 2,100 feet a minute. We're accelerating 160 knots, flaps 2. Now, if we don't pick up Robbinsville here shortly, we may have to make an adjustment to which VOR we want to track. At the very least, I know I want to go northeastbound. Let's make it a heading of 030. There's Philly down there off our left. Now, that might be a little bit aggressive. Let's make it 060 on the heading. Trimming down as we clean up here. I believe 180 knots or so was one of our last flap retractions. I love listening to those flap sounds. Alright, so we're accelerating now 200. I want to set my speed bug to 250. And we'll go ahead and turn that off. Into the clouds we go. We want to make sure our anti-ice is on, which is kind of scary. Oh, that wasn't much at all. That wasn't much at all. Still hand flying. I'm still not picking up anything. Is this... No, nav? I should be a nav. I'm still not picking up Robbinsville VOR, which... Oh, wait, maybe I am now. Nope. Well, we'll keep flying this heading for a little bit longer. Let's take a look at our checklist, make sure everything is kosher. After takeoff, seatbelt switch, we're going to keep that on. Anti-ice closed open, so I no longer need any of these. So we'll go ahead and turn that off, and we'll close the wings. Alright, gears up, off, flaps up, and no lights. That looks good. Auto pack trim to cutouts. So we're going to go ahead and put that into cutout. These fuel valves here, that's just because the airplane is maneuvering. When you make sharp turns or pitch changes, sometimes those fuel sensors will illuminate a low level. Hopefully they go out here momentarily. Auto pack trim is cut out. Hydraulic pressure and quantity, that is normal, looking good. Height and pressure. How's our cabin? Oh, we forgot to go flight mode. We're in flight mode now. Cabin is not really climbing. We'll double check that here as soon as I get the autopilot on. Climb N2%. 92% is climb 1. So right about 1.98 or so. Alright, so now that we have that, I'm going to roll this speed back here. We're going to engage the autopilot so I can do a couple house cleaning items. So, autopilot is very basic. We're going to engage that. I'm going to go into IAS hold and heading select. So, I'll turn the... Oh, that's altitude hold. Where is this mode selector heading? Okay, so now... This is the nav selector. Turd knob, nav loc, IAS hold. It should be engaged, but it does not seem to be engaged. What am I missing here? You are tuned, right? I am tuned. Yes, I am. Your vertical speed is all over the place. Yeah, she wants to... I'm trying to keep it at a... We got her stabilized now about 200 knots. I am tuned to 13.8 on nav 1. Let's try a different radio. Let's try... Let's just try Woodstown, 12.8. Like, we should be able to pick up Woodstown. I'm going to change this right here real quick. Okay, so we have no nav radio. What is going on here? So I definitely should be picking up Woodstown. Nav system, no nav system. SIVA, FMS, no nav. I'm not getting any navigation. That's not good, guys. Turn on the avion switch on the honeycomb yoke. Oh my goodness! Nick M! You're a freaking genius, my friend. Okay, now we're cooking. Can I go heading select? Autopilot's working. So I had to use the honeycomb yoke. Nick M. Nick M. You are my hero of the evening so far. Okay. I don't know why I had to turn on the honeycomb yoke, but you absolutely hit the nail on the head. So let's go back to where we were. 13.8. Okay, I was going to say. There we go. 19 miles. We'll go heading mode. Like that. I'm actually going to change that into nav track up there. VOR loc. And we're going to go VOR loc right there. So now the airplane is in VOR loc. We can accelerate here. We're going a little bit slow. Let's accelerate speed 250 knots. Avionics switches. You guys are awesome. All right, I missed a lot of chat, but now I feel much better that we're tracking. 16 miles. Okay, beautiful. After Robbinsville, we're going to pick up JFK. Look, we already have JFK being received at 57 miles. We know JFK is 15.9, so I'm going to put that right here. All right, everything looks good. How is our flight engineer doing over here? Let's run back to the flight engineer seat. Low pressure. I think that's because we're in a climb. I could be wrong. But we still have fuel. Everything else looks good. So I think that is normal. 92%, 1.90 on the EPR. That looks good. We're 17.1, climbing to flight level 200. We can our best climb is about 280 knots, so I'll set that up. All right, here we go. Flyby sound. Now I can get back to the back to it. That flyby sound, though. Ooh, is that better than the IXEG73? Ooh, I don't know. What do you guys say? What do you guys say? Is that better than the IXEG73 flyby? Oh, this beautiful wing shot here. All right, there's a lot to handle. So we also want to arm altitude select. So I come here and I do arm the altitude. So the way this autopilot works is you got to think of it as separate channels, and I'll explain this here in a minute. But the autopilot in the 727, it's either engaged or disengaged. When you engage it, you have to tell the airplane what do you want to do. In the vertical phase of flight, you can do a Mach hold or an indicated airspeed hold. Kerry Copper, great stream, gotta go. See you, man. Thanks for tuning in, man. So Mach hold is a Mach number hold, an IAS hold, indicated airspeed hold. You can do vertical speed, or you can do a pitch command hold. Those are the only ways that you change the autopilot in the pitch phase of flight. As we level to 200 here, I'm going to bring back these EPers, because I don't want to go too fast. Let's come all the way back. Let's come back like 1.70. Now I'm going to do a quick heading select here as we change over to 15.9. JFK. There is JFK. And I'm going to go back to VOR Loc. And it's captured it now. There we go. Alright, so in the pitch, you have basically speed holds. That's what you're doing. And the way you control your climb rate is with your thrust output. So if I set a 250 knot climb, and I have full power to the engines, I can obviously go 250 knots and still climb in this airplane. So it's really going to be climbing. If I were to have my thrust at idle, the airplane is going to pitch for 250 knots, so it may end up pitching down. So you really want to fine-tune your thrust output and your indicated speed or Mach number that you're holding within the climb. Now, the only other thing that you can do to change that is to go straight into a vertical speed climb, where the airplane will not pay attention to your indicated speed or Mach, but rather it's going to pay attention to the vertical speed requested by you. So I tend to use a speed climb, a Mach climb, or an indicated airspeed climb, but you can use vertical speed. If you're used to vertical speed, use vertical speed. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to hurt you either way. So that's the pitch portion of this autopilot. Berto coming in with another $2 bomb donation. Thank you so much. A very nice sound. Oh man, I appreciate it. Reset Barrow to 18,000. You're absolutely right. Set 29902. Set once, twice, and 3 times. Thank you. All right, so that's the pitch. Now, as far as lateral navigation, you have heading, or you can laterally navigate via a ground-based navigation station. So we have nav loc. This is going to be what we're using. It's probably what you're going to use most of the time, either a localizer or you're tracking VOR Airways. You also have a turn knob. Now, I haven't messed around with this, but I'm pretty sure if I put this into turn knob and I adjust this, I can turn the airplane left or right with this turn knob, similar to using a heading bug knob, I guess, but it would be a turn knob navigation. I don't know when or why you would use that, but that's what that means. Auto glide slope, manual glide slope. So this is, auto glide slope is a coupled ILS. Manual glide slope is a coupled ILS with, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong if you know this, but I believe manual is a coupled lateral, but you are controlling the pitch. So you're going to be following the up and down commands of the glide slope. But the airplane will follow the lateral. So that's just a little bit about the autopilot. It's basic, but it's very effective. Now, let's look up here. Now, man, this plane is just fast. And we're almost to Kennedy already. Let's go ahead and bring this power back, man. Let's just start to enter some turbulence here. Let's go ahead and bring it back. Bring it back. Easy flare. All right. Now, to verify, let's see, what do I have here? There we go. Let's see, we're just going to check where we are here. So after Kennedy, so we got to verify our arrival chart here. I mean, we are just cooking. After Kennedy, we're going to track the 060 outbound, so we're pretty much right on it. So I'm going to set my heading back to 060. I'm not going into detail on how to track Victor Airways. I have a video on my channel already. It's in the FlyJSim 737-200. I go in detail about how to follow Victor Airways or VOR to VOR nav. So I'm not really touching base on that. Back to the autopilot here just a little bit. We've talked about how it works in vertical mode. You have your speed holds or your vertical speed. Then you have your lateral navigation. Now, this panel right here is very important, and you have to make sure you pay attention to this panel here to make sure the airplane is doing what you want it to do. These are 2 separate columns. We have flight director column and an autopilot column. In a perfect world, and what you want to achieve is you want these to match up. For instance, the flight director can do whatever it wants. I can make the flight director change. So look, I'm going to put the flight director way up there. See, this is your flight director. I'm changing the pitch command of the flight director, but the airplane's not moving. Why? Because I'm in altitude hold mode, and you can see that right here. The autopilot is in altitude hold mode. The flight director does not have an altitude hold mode, so there's nowhere. That's why this is not a green box here. So the flight director is separate of the autopilot, but you do want it to match up where it can. For instance, the airplane in autopilot is following VOR navigation right now. My flight director roll commands are also following VOR navigation. If I change the flight director mode to heading, and I turn my heading bug all the way to the left, this is really going to be confusing. So my heading bug is turning to the left, and my flight director is saying, hey, fly left, but the airplane is not. It's just tracking this VOR outbound, and really I want to set it to the 060 course. So this is kind of a bad example, because the airplane is going to turn left to intercept the 060 course, but look, I'll turn the flight director all the way to the right. The airplane is not following the flight director. The airplane is in VOR mode. So if you want your flight director to match what the airplane's doing, match up this panel here. I want to be in VOR mode, and we're at wings level, so I have pitch command at wings level, and I guess I can turn altitude hold on, and that makes the flight director bars look level on the attitude display here. So as long as you are matching your flight director to your autopilot, you can see exactly what the airplane is doing. But some people get confused and think, hey, I'm changing my flight director around. Why isn't the airplane following it? Because the airplane is in an autopilot mode that you've selected down here, which is completely independent from this panel up here. All right, that's enough spieling about the autopilot. Let's take a look out here. Let me get to some of these chats here. Double check your cabin pressure just to be safe. NASA 6, you're absolutely right, man. How are we doing? Our cabin is at 0. It doesn't seem right. I need to climb the cabin a little bit, right? Interesting. Alright, I'm going to go into manual pressurization. Oh boy. Oh boy. I should pressurize the cabin about 6,000 feet, so everybody's ears just popped. How's our temps looking while we're up here, while we're at it? Alright, so I think I screwed something up here. In auto, it should automatically pressurize according to this schedule. I'm going to increase the rate of climb on the cabin just a little bit. That was a lot of it. So the cabin altitude is here on the inside. And it should be, let's see, if we look at the chart at 20,000 feet. Wow, no, I'm wrong. I'm wrong, guys. Go back to auto. Wow, this airplane's incredible. I'm wrong. So, my flight altitude, look, even I'm learning something new. Flight altitude is 20,000 feet. I assumed that my cabin altitude should be around 3,000 or 4,000. But according to the altitude schedule here on the 727-200, 0 PSI cabin up to 22,000 feet. So we're only at 20, so the airplane was absolutely correct in keeping the differential, or keeping the cabin at ground level and having a differential pressure of about 800 PSI. And I can tell this small arrow here is cabin pressure. The outside scale is differential pressure. That's the pressure between the outside and the inside of the aircraft. It's well within limits here. There's nothing to be dangerous. There's no danger here at being at 800. But I assumed improperly that I needed to have the cabin pressurized. It was technically pressurized because it was keeping the cabin at 0 elevation. That's just pretty incredible on this airplane. So it was in auto mode. Everything was working properly. I manually climbed the cabin. Now I put it back into auto mode. You can see it's descending the cabin. So everybody's ears just popped, and Hopefully they're not bleeding. We'll get some free drinks out there for you guys, because I definitely screwed that up. How are we looking? We're 32 miles from JFK. We got to take it all the way out to about 40 miles. Then we got to make a right turn. So we're looking for Providence 15.6. So I'm going to turn nav 2 over. We have 15.6. Our radial that we're looking for off of Providence VOR is the 263. We're getting close. So VOR 2, here's 260. We're getting close to making another turn, which if we flip that around, that's going to be 043 inbound to Providence. So we can probably start the turn in here pretty soon. Man, I know I'm ignoring you guys here. Almost beer 30 yet? Yeah, man, my drink is pretty much empty. I did not realize how fast this was going to fly by. Now we're pretty much stalling because I brought the throttles way back, but I'm going to bump it up. Let's get our speed back. It's probably a good thing that I was flying so slow. Alright, we're going to make the turn inbound to Providence. So I'm going to put the airplane into heading mode. Sync my heading here. And I'm going to select heading, so it shouldn't turn that much. And you could tell, guys, how crazy this workload is. 15.6, and I want to put the tail on 263, which is right there, which is 083, right? 083. So I'm going to go ahead and put this into heading right now so it doesn't look confusing. So I'm basically following that other airway, a little bit off course there, but I think that's because we went direct. And we're going to intercept this inbound. So on the chart, we're right here. And we're going to make a right turn and go inbound to Providence VOR. Wow. Alright. I'll try to get back to some of these chat messages here. Thank you, Michael Morrison, for the subscription. Really appreciate it. Alright, I'm going to get back to some of the chat messages here. I didn't mean to ignore you guys, but this plane is... No matter how much I prepare myself, it just happens fast. And to be able to stream and communicate with you guys is difficult. Frank C. says, Kalita Cargo has 6 Boeing 727-200F. It's still in operation. That's awesome. You know, I did fly, I think it's several months ago now, but I did have a 727 guy from Kalita on my jump seat. So, that's right. That makes sense. I unfortunately have to go. Nick M., I'm sorry, you're probably long gone by now. Thank you for stopping by the stream, hanging out with us. Oh, boy. Alright. Our speed's coming back up here. I don't have to fly super fast because I like hanging out with you guys, so I'm not too worried about it. We also have to think about our descents going into Providence. But we'll worry about that here in a little bit. So you can see that the airway is getting a little bit closer. I'm going to go ahead and... There must be a nice wind pushing us as well. I'm going to just keep that heading bug right where it is. Whoa! We've also been flying with our landing lights on. Can you tell I'm a little bit discombobulated here? Strobe nav beacon, wing, we turn that off, and logo, we leave that off. I didn't mean to blow y'all's ears out there either with that exterior shot. Alright, let's go ahead and put her into VOR loc mode. And I'll put this into VOR loc mode. So now VOR loc, I can see what the airplane is doing. It's capturing that airway. Let's get to a flyby sound. James Birmingham, you're absolutely right. This is one of those airplanes that will get ahead of you in a heartbeat. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit here, and then I'll go outside again. Alright, we're back at it. You actually saw a Toyota 727 parked at Philly once? Nice, man. I know they have one of those, I don't know if it's, excuse me, a permanent configuration, but there's a Toyota 7.2 that's configured just for horses, and I see them a lot in Louisville sometimes when they do the Kentucky Derby. So I was out there on the ramp one time on a corporate trip, this was years ago, and I saw a Toyota 727 unloading horses on the ramp. It was pretty cool. Sorry about that jet blast there, Frank C. Ace says, imagine flying this with no FMC. Ah, man, I can't imagine. You know now why it was a 3-person airplane. It's just, there's so much going on, and everything that you do is manual. There is no automation in this airplane, which I really like, but it's pretty awesome. Jeremy Harvey says, I don't know if I'd call the flyby sound better than the 733, but I would naturally call it different because the engines are different and there is one more. Yeah, you know what? You're right. It is different. Definitely is different. What was the consensus on that? I can't remember. I think I got too busy trying not to stall. You're so shuttle. Love it, man. Love it. Ripper says the fact that the fuel pumps go dry and tanks aren't full as you pitch and roll is just so fancy. Yep. I'm kind of scrolling back through some of those messages there, guys. I apologize. That was a busy departure. So, James Maria says, don't worry about me, I can't really very good at it. Every pilot I know either loved their time in them or envied those who flew them. Sporty planes in their time. Yep. Yeah, they put winglets on the horse carriers. That's right. That's right. Alright, let's take a look. Let's see how fast we're going. We're cooking now. I mean, yeah, it looks like she's having a hard time with the speed. I'm having a hard time dialing in the auto. There is no auto thrust, but I'm having a hard time with the speed. So VOR low, she's having a hard time tracking. I think it might be because we're going so fast. Almost 7.9 Bach at 20,000 feet. That is moving, guys. That is moving. So I'm going to bring it back just a little bit. How's our checklist? Descent approach, we'll worry about that. Everything else looks good. So we're pretty much just cruising. We're going to have to calculate a top of descent here pretty soon. Good thing is we're in the 7.2, so we can drop like a rock if we need to. A little bit of turbulence there. That wing flex looking good. This aircraft and the DC-9 were state-of-the-art for the day. No FMC, glass, cockpits till many years later. Yep, they were state-of-the-art back then, man. That's what's crazy. Dimitri says, V1, can you do a view from below at about 1,000 feet away? I want to recreate my childhood memory of the 727 flying out of Athens in the city. A view from below about 1,000 feet away. Okay. So I'm going to go outside, and you want right about there. 1,000 feet. I don't know where 1,000 feet would be. Down here? There she is. I love the beacon light modeling on the FlyJSim stuff too. It's that old school rotating beacon. Really nice. Alright, as we enter IMC here, we'll go ahead and get some of our ice protection on. We'll go ahead and open the wings. Open, open, open. I think that's how we do it. Oh, we're pretty much out of it. Alright, let's look at our chart here. Once we cross Providence, is there any arrival information? There is no altitude restrictions. So we should probably start down though. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a 250 knot, I'm sorry, we'll do a 300 knot descent. So I'm going to set speed 300. Now this is where you have to be careful. If you do a speed hold descent, if I were to do speed hold descent mode right now, the airplane would actually climb because it's going to try to pitch for 300. I'm above 300. So this is where you get, if you're going to use the speed hold function, you want to be careful when you start manipulating the switches around. You want to make sure the aircraft is readily set for the descent that you're planning on doing. You did systems check? I did a systems check, man. Everything looks green and no lights back here. So everything is looking good right now. Fuel is good. Temps are good. We don't need a fuel heat yet. It's only -10. Cabin is pressurized. I could have disarmed the auto brakes there a long time ago. I guess we'll turn the seatbelt sign off. We'll let the chickens run for a minute. But what I'm going to do is start a descent now. So I'm going to dial in 10,000 feet. I'm going to slowly bring my power back. You definitely want to be careful moving the thrust levers. You don't want to just bring it straight back to idle because there is no FADEC and you will compressor stall these engines. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and go into IAS hold. And you can see now as I reduce power, the airplane is going to pitch for 300 knots. So if I were to increase power, it's going to shallow out its descent rate. So you want to be careful when you use the speed hold descent, but I used it for years flying different corporate jets, so when you get used to it, it's kind of a hard habit to kick. I actually prefer a speed hold descent than a vertical speed, but you can use vertical speed too. And I would actually recommend vertical speed for somebody who's just starting out, who might be new. So I want to turn the altitude hold off. There we go. So my flight director matches up. We're doing about 1,500 feet per minute descent. That looks good. Slam Kenny said the IXCG flyby is more visceral. Yeah, I can see that. I'm running out of pilot fuel here. Alright, there's 8 miles from Providence. After that, we need to turn left to 074 on the course. So I'm going to set my heading by approximately 074. As we enter the cone of confusion, we should probably get down a little bit faster. Let's take a look at the altimeter down there in Boston. Right now it's showing 3011, so we'll go ahead and set 3011 in the altimeter. It's not going to help with our descent. It's actually going to make it a little bit harder. 3011. 3011. Set 1, 2, and 3. We'll turn the seatbelt signs back on. PA in progress. Pretty quiet once you get the power back. Alright, there is heading select for now. And let's set course 074. We're going to let the airplane do the cone of confusion thing. That's talked about in my FlyJ video, or the VOR navigation video on my channel. I can't possibly do VOR nav teaching and fly the 7.2 at the same time. My head would explode. Use the speed brake, they're incredibly draggy. Yes, definitely. I don't think I need it right now. Look at the glare off the altimeter. I mean, you can't even read the altimeter. That's just fantastic. That just looks... I mean, the detail in the FlyJSim stuff blows my mind. Alright, we're getting close to it. I'm going to go VOR load mode. The airplane's going to capture it up. Over 100 watching and 62 likes. Man, you guys must not like retro aircraft. I like it. Why do I have the PA light on continuously here? Oh, that's monitor speaker. That's why. There we go. Seatbelt sign is on. Doesn't look too cloudy down there, so we might be alright. Alright, 16 miles from Providence will, by definition, put us at Cran. From Cran, we're going to go ahead and go from there. We're going to vector ourselves. So, going to idle, horn cut out. So instead of a button, you pull this lever over here, and that will let you go to idle thrust without the gear down. I'm going to continue my descent all the way down to 5,000 feet. Let's start prepping for the approach phase here. I'm going to put the ILS in there definitely as a backup. 110, what was it, 110.7? 110.7 is set. 110.7 in the backup. of COM, or I'm sorry, of nav 1. Final approach course will be 044 degrees. That looks good. I'm hoping we'll be able to get through some of these clouds, and I'll be able to do a visual. Where are we at here? There's Boston up there. So what I might do is I might just put in the Boston VOR, kind of guide us towards it, 112.7. Put that in the standby 112.7. I'm sure we're picking it up by now. Yeah, we're picking up DME2 about 50 miles away from Boston. Down we go. Bust through this cloud layer here. Spags, OZs, yeah, the retros are definitely more challenging. That's an idle thrust flyby, so pretty lackluster, but we are at idle thrust. That's still pretty cool right there. Slam Cannon, hit that like button ASAP. I appreciate it. Definitely, help me out. Want to see a little bit of speed brake. Look at that. I mean, starts dropping like a rock. This plane, you can definitely get her down if you need to. A little bit bumpy there, looks like. The wings are flexing. Ooh, the lights just turned on. So we're going to come left in heading mode. You know what? I'm going to set up Boston VOR 112.7. Heading select. So now I've got Boston VOR set over there. But this is a pretty true. I'm gonna set 8,000 on the descent. Let's say 8,000. I should be below 250 knots though, so I gotta dial that speed back. I don't want to fly directly to Boston, but I'm gonna get us over there so we can do a visual approach when we get there. Flying into Boston, if you've ever done it in real life, if you get down low, you get below 10,000 feet, and it just seems like it takes forever to get to the airport because you're only doing 250 knots and you're still, 50 miles from the airport or so by way of vectoring. All right, there's 250 knots. We're leveling at 8,000. We track the speed brakes. I'm going to go ahead and turn left towards Boston. And we're at 10,000 feet. We'll get our outboards, inboards. We'll get our lights on. Wings and logo lights. We'll ding the flight attendants one more time. Sure they know. I can see Boston out there now, which is pretty good. There's our altitude alert, 1,000 to go. Let's go ahead and set our ref speeds. We're going to switch over to landing. We're going to do flaps 30. Set bugs. VREF is 127. So our bugs are set. We're going to just continue on down. Let's go ahead and descend and maintain 7,000. 250 knots. We're going to stay on this heading for now. Holy crab moly. I know, man. We got that wind ripping up here. But the 7.2, at idle thrust up front of the wing there, it is pretty quiet. Very similar to the MD-80. Dougal says, if and only you get the chance, can you please promote the project in sight? Dougal, absolutely. We have a small window of time here. Let me see if I can pull up a link. So Dougal, as you know, as the mod here, Dougal McTavish had come up with a wonderful idea to help people. And doing not just people in general. I shouldn't say it's more of a. Oop! I never hit altitude select. Altitude select. All right, we'll drop it down to 6,000. Altitude select is armed. So Dougal came up with a wonderful idea about being able to bring the joy of flight simulation to those who may be less fortunate. So I'm going to post a link in the chat here for you guys, and I encourage you to take a look at it. I know not everybody is in a position to support a project such as this, but what this project is going to do is it's going to allow somebody, and hopefully multiple people, we don't know how large it's going to grow, but it's going to allow some youth adults, more often than not, most likely it's going to be somebody in the youth, who really loves aviation and wants to be part of the aviation community, but unfortunately doesn't have the equipment to do so and join us and fly these wonderful airplanes. So this website will kind of give you more information on what it's about, what the project is about. But hopefully, if you're in a position to help out, we're going to have some lucky winners that will be able to enjoy flight simulation with our help. So if you guys are in that position to donate, you know, if you want to donate to me, I suggest you donate to the SimWings support page and help some child out there get into flight simulation, and maybe, who knows, maybe they'll end up being the next great streamer. So check it out. And once again, Dougal's idea, fantastic idea, he told me about, and I said, hey man, that's a great idea. I will definitely back you on that, and I'll do my part in trying to get that operation going. So alright, 110.7 is the localizer course. Oh, I'm sorry, is our localizer frequency. The course is 330, so I'm going to set that up here, 330. We're going to slow it back. We're pretty much there now, about 210 knots. So I'm going to set 210. I'm going to bug 210 for myself right there. Alright, 210 knots, 060-ish on the heading. We're 12 miles from the localizer. What are our flap speeds? Man, we can go all the way at 230 knots at flaps 5, so let's go ahead and drop flaps 5. We're below that, so we'll go ahead and get these slats out. Look at them flaps dropping off the wings. Freaking awesome. Oh. Boom, popping out. Alright, so we need to be at 4,000 feet, so we need to go ahead and drop some altitude here. We're going to go 4,000. I'm going to go IAS hold, altitude arm, come back to idle thrust, and we're going to start our descent down. I'm kind of cheating here, keeping us in heading mode, but I'm trying to vector us as realistic as air traffic control would. They bring you way out over the water here. Got a couple of wonderful ideas there for Dougal in the chat. Yeah, excellent, guys. I really appreciate it. It is a great idea. I think it can be fantastic. It's, you know, it's in its infancy right now, so there's a lot more that's going to happen, and I'll have a lot more details, but I'm sure Dougal will have some details for you as well. But it's just kind of a I wouldn't even say Kickstarter, but it's a project that's in its infancy that I see great potential with, so I'm going to definitely back it 100%. And of course, all credit goes to Dougal for coming up with the idea. Alright, 1,000 feet to go, leveling 4,000. How are we looking? We can probably start coming left now. 360 on the heading. Once we reach 4,000 feet, I'm going to go ahead and slow back to 180 knots. That's about what ATC will be requesting of us in real life. There's Boston out there off the left. So it's very brutal as a pilot. You come in and you're like, man, the airport's right there. Can I just freaking land? I'm going to set speed to 180. That's going to let us go all the way to flaps 15 or below 200. Let's go ahead and drop flaps 15 on this view right here. Oh, yes. Flaps are coming out. Dimitri says, Dougal is my sim hero. Proud to call you my friend. Good luck with it, Governor. Absolutely. James says it's amazing how fast your speed drops with flaps. It definitely is, man. Absolutely. Alright, and we're at 4,000 feet. Flaps drop. Look at that speed. Look at that speed dropping. Look at that speed dropping. We got to get that thrust in there. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the floodlight, I think. Beautiful. Floodlight is on. Let's go ahead and get some power in here, please. Can I get some power, please? Can I get some power, please? was the localizer was 110.7. I guess it helps if you have 110.7. 110.7. So I can see 3-3 left right there. I'm surprised we're not picking that up. Interesting. Oh, you know what? That might not be 3-3 left. I might be turned around. No, I'm pretty sure. Oh, 3-3 left is over there. I think we overflew 3-3 left, didn't we? Yeah, I think I'm looking at the other one. We overflew 3-3 left. That's okay. That actually puts us more in line for the kite visual. Let's go ahead and drop it down to 3,000. IAS hold, descent, here we go. I'm going to do an auto brake medium. Speed brake, I don't believe you can arm the speed brakes. Yes, you can. There you go, click them, speed brakes armed. So, what am I looking at here? That's 2-2 left. 3-3 left is out here. There's approach lights at 3-3 left. Oh, you know what? Okay, so we are pretty much set up exactly. Oh boy, we're descending below. We'll set 2,000. I forgot to hit altitude select. There we go. We're setting up perfectly for the lighthouse visual. We're basically going to fly here. We're going to make a right turn, intercept the localizer, Fort Warren, and land. So all is not lost. We're basically on the approach I wanted to be on anyway. Get that power back in here as we level. My trim is working. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and turn everything off and hand fly it. Once I can verify that that is 3-3 left over there. Yeah, we're pretty much on a right base with 3-3 left. Final approach fix altitude is right around 1,500 feet, so I'm going to set 1,000. Disengage. Autopilot is off. Let's do this. We'll go ahead and lower the landing gear. We're essentially on a right base right now to 3-3 left. Our approach speed was what was our ref? It was 126. We'll bug 131-ish as we slow down. There's 3-3 left off our right-hand side. Flaps 25. There's the windmills down there, looking good. Let's set flaps 30. Watch that power. I do not want to get slow. I learned my lesson on the last stream in the Boeing.
1,000.
Flaps 30, and let's make that turn in here. Don't want to undercut it. A little bit high. We overshot that turn just a little bit. That's why they call it a visual approach, though. I can see one white, no, I'm sorry, one red. There we go. We are 2 whites, 2 reds. Center up that localizer.
500.
We are down to land, clear to land, green light. 3-3 left.
400.
Watching that speed.
300.
Do not want to get slow.
minimums.
Landing.
100.
Right on speed.
50, 40, 30, 20.
Whoa, wow, we have floated.
10.
Oh boy. Hard landing with a bounce. Epic. Get the reversers out. Oh boy. That was not fun. We definitely bounced on that sucker. Auto brakes disengaged. 376. Ouch. You know what they say, though, is an unstable approach typically leads to an unstable landing. And I kind of felt that was a little unstable there. We're below 60 knots. Stow the speed brakes. Stow the reversers. And let's get off this runway. Whew. Welcome to Boston, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize. We've got 2 chiropractor flights in the books now here. We're going to go ahead and leave our lights on as we cross 2 right, 4 left, and then we'll taxi straight into the ramp. My goodness. We're going to have to check that replay out. I thought, you know, I didn't think we were going to smash it that hard, but I think after that float, you know, maybe I should have went around, I don't know. Definitely floated, and then it just dropped out on me. These Boeings, man, they're a different animal. They are a different animal, that is for sure. At G20, boing? Absolutely. That's why they call them Boeings, right? Boing? Man. Hard landing. I don't think I've had one that hard in a while. We're going to study that replay here as we clear. We'll go ahead and get our lights off. Taxi light stays on. Runway turnoffs off. Strobes can come off. Wing lights off. Let's go ahead and flaps are up. Spoilers retracted. A left turn. Just past JetBlue. We'll head over here on Alpha. What do we have maintenance-wise here? Nose gear tire blowout. Oh boy. You know, I thought we decelerated very rapidly. Nose gear tire blowout. I wonder if that just was a mechanical failure, or if that was because of me. If that's because of me, I'm going to be embarrassed. Bourbon made me do it for sure, but we'll have to study that replay. I didn't think it was that hard. But there is random failures enabled with the FlyJSim stuff. Let me see here in the settings. You could see, or is it? Oh no, in the maintenance. There it is. Oh. So in the status, you know, I have failure system on, and I've been pretty good to this airplane. So I'm definitely not. It's not typical of me to be using and abusing such planes, but we definitely had an incident there. We're going to go inside here as we hopefully don't get hit. When that field truck will make a left turn, park it over here by American 7-3. Dimitri said, I'll add this chiropractor invoice to the last one. Oh, goodness. You're not kidding, man. You are not kidding. So, speaking of chiropractor invoices, I'm set up for that Honduras stream, guys. I think it was for the original 5K celebration stream. I want to take an Airbus down there, but I'm open to taking a Boeing. If you guys want to see like a 727 long haul, maybe a 732, but I'll probably do it in the Airbus. I'll let my commercial pilots vote on it here. I'll make a poll. But we are going to be doing a Fort Lauderdale to the Honduras MHTG Toncontin, and we just have to decide on which airplane we're going to take down there. So, boy, I want to study this replay, because if I really plopped that nose down and blew that tire myself, I'm just going to have to retire the old Boeing here. Oh, come on, dude. Sad nose gear is hard to slow down, or hard to keep going here. Making me want to slow down. Right there. Southwest stop. Brakes are set. I did not fire up the ground power, so I'm going to just go ahead and start you. And I'm going to go ahead and turn off the window heats. Turn off those. Turn that off. I'm sorry, those are the window pitot tube heats there. We can go ahead and ground. We can go ahead and. Oh no, we're not grounding anything. We'll go ahead and shut off engine 1 and 3 as the APU is spooling up. We'll disarm that. And how's our APU doing? She's still spooling up. Hydraulics can come off on system B. Turn this floodlight on. Alright, APU is on. I'm going to go to APU source, APU, and we'll go ahead and shut down engine 2. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Boston Logan International Airport. The chiropractor office is located on the south side of Terminal B. You can expect a US Airways shuttle bus to be taking you there momentarily. We'll go ahead and kill the beacon light. My goodness. Beacon off. Alright. Let's see how bad this was. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to leave the maintenance there. And let's go ahead and put this into replay mode. And then we're going to go disable real view. So I've narrowed it down. Real view will crash my sim in replay mode if I have track IR on. So I have track IR on right now, so I'm going to disable real view. And let's take a look at this replay. All right, we got to look at this landing because I cannot believe that I was that aggressive on the nose wheel. Let's take a look here. There goes the gear. Ooh, let's take a look at that. The gear extension is pretty cool on this airplane. Look at those animations. Looking awesome. Whew. Alright, we'll go ahead and skip forward a little bit. And there's replay sounds, believe it or not. Take that, flight factor. So here we are making the turn in. The smoke coming off the backs of those engines. I'm gonna have to fly this plane more. Just doing this stream tonight has made me want to be more proficient in this airplane because I forgot how awesome it is. I'm glutton for punishment. I mean, this plane is just so much fun to fly. The texturing on the wings there. So we got her under control, it looks like, on the approach. James says, I've had bad back and knees from jumping out of planes and never been one. Oh, man. Alright, let's take a look at what happened here. We flared high. That's an Airbus thing. Look at that. That's on me, man. That's an Airbus thing. I flared way too high. And then I just dropped it. Oh, boy, that was hard. Oh, but come on. The nose wheel? Really? I think the nose wheel just decided to blow. I think it just decided to blow because of my random failures. Because of random failures. I don't think that was me. Let's take a look from the wing here. That's just, you know, I just flared high, man. I can't... I don't want to break that habit because, you know, I flare high in real life because I fly real Airbus airplanes. So it's hard for me to say, oh man, I wish I could just stop flaring high. But then the next thing you know it, I'll go to work and then I'll frickin' smash one into the ground. Definitely don't want to do that. I mean, the wing flex animation is pretty sweet though on touchdown. Let's look from, yeah, behind right here is good. Slam Cannon says Flight Park doesn't even have fix info page, not a little replay sounds. I know, man. Yeah, we definitely bounced that one. Oof, I gotta work on that flare and high. It's that flare and high problem. Alright, but the best view is yet to come. Off the runway. Off the runway with these sounds on this airplane, guys. Listen to this. I almost look a little low there. I think I was pretty low over the threshold. Yeah, that flare, I flared it and I ruined all my energy right there. Boom, son. Ouch. Oh, boy. You know what? My phone's going off right now. I think Ryanair is calling. Hold on. Let me answer this. Ryanair's on the phone. I gotta listen to this one more time. Turn up that volume. Oh. Wow. Just a tad off center line there. Nose wheel came down nicely, but just I think it was just an old tire, as James was saying. All right, guys. It's that time. This was a heck of a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I know it's a little bit chaotic there on a short stream when I do the 727. I'm going to have to really do a longer stream where we can just hang out and cruise, and I can show you guys some hidden features of the 727 systems-wise. But I just wanted to get this one out of my system. I've been itching to fly this plane since we last talked about retro aircraft, and this was a lot of fun for me. I hope you enjoyed it. All my mods in the chat, thanks for hanging out with me tonight. Thanks for getting those links out there, Dimitri and Carl and Dougal. Guys, if you haven't checked it out already, I'll post it one more time. Dougal's got a great idea for his, or for supporting young aviators, or young simviators, if I can call them that, simviators. And Dimitri, no V1, that's my chiropractor waiting to say thank you. So, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me in chat. Thanks for all the donations. Thanks for all the sponsors. You guys are awesome. Great community here at V1 Simulations. I love you guys. I will catch you on the next one, possibly tomorrow, because I'm going to be out of town this weekend. So we're not quite done yet. There may be another stream tomorrow. I will catch you guys the next time. Have a good night. See ya.